How's it going, everybody? Happy belated 2017. Today we're going to be going over some of the channel goals that I've set sort of for this year, just to give you an idea of what you can look forward to, as well as sort of establish a road plan for myself. So as you might already know, in my previous video, I did the 5 games that I'm looking forward to playing in 2017. Obviously, these games are games that I intend on covering on the channel if I do play them and if they're released. In addition to that, I would also like to eventually update my channel artwork. Currently, it is a picture or an image of Stronghold Kingdoms. It's a mashup, so to speak, of Stronghold Kingdoms screenshots and artwork, not really reflecting the actual content on my channel anymore. So I'd prefer to update it to something a bit more relevant. At the moment, I'm thinking of a combination, like some sort of cartoon look, or actually a very flat, minimalist look. We'll see. The current idea that is bouncing around in my head is a meteorite hitting a landscape, perhaps a city or something, with the citizens running and screaming all over the place, but we'll see how that goes. The citizens could just be little stick figures. So yeah, we got this big meteorite coming in, smashing into the earth, and everybody's screaming and running away from it. I think that'd actually be pretty epic, but you'll see how it goes. Like I said, I'm thinking about, like I'm flopping between 2 styles on it. A very cartoon look or a very flat look, I guess, is the best way I can characterize that look as somebody who is not actually a graphic designer or an artist. Another thing I'd like to do is actually add an intro to my videos. A lot of people do this, and since I actually edit mine, there's really no reason not to. I could understand if I was just directly uploading videos, because having to re-render that entire file is pretty much not that great a return on investment if all you're doing is adding like a little fill screen in the front or title credits, whatever, in the back. But given the fact that I actually put a lot of editing effort into, well, some videos more than others, like not every video is going to need to be edited quite as heavily, but I try to edit out all the boring stuff, or the areas where I'm not talking. I think I edit to the soundtrack a lot more than I do to the actual video, what's on the screen. Obviously, I'll cut out boring audio, but try to keep the audio flowing, keep it interesting. Another thing I'd like to do is add an outro. If you take any sort of advice from anybody who does YouTube, who advises people who do YouTube, one of the things they'll recommend is doing an outro. And during the outro, what you should do is give them a selection of a couple more videos from your channel that you'd think they'd like. Now, I'm personally not somebody who ever uses this in my day-to-day life. Like, I watch plenty of videos on YouTube. I never actually end up clicking those annotated videos towards the end. I usually just, look at the recommended suggestions in the sidebar, but apparently I'm not the majority here, and a lot of people actually do click through those. So it would be nice to have YouTube sort of promote my videos before they go ahead and just promote the suggested ones at the end of a video. Obviously, this will add like maybe 10 to 20 seconds of time to the end of all of my videos, but I think once again, it has the opportunity to establish some sort of catchphrase or something. We'll see how it goes. Finding music that you can actually use that hasn't been used before and won't be taken away or copyright claimed sometime in the future is obviously a challenging part. You want to find some little track that's memorable, that will stick with people, not just generic dubstep or generic electro, EDM, what have you. So that's the real challenge there. Obviously, I plan on doing a little bit of animation on the outro, like having the arrows move, perhaps, and they're pointing to, like, here, check out these videos if you'd like to see more content like this. Recently, YouTube actually introduced a more dynamic outro screen, so that way you can have YouTube decide which videos are going to show up in that area. The downside to this is it won't actually play those videos while the viewer is watching it back, so it'll be a very static look versus what we're commonly used to seeing before this, with the videos actually embedded in the file by whoever rendered it. And normally you'd have like just additional videos rendered in the background so you could see them moving and everything. Maybe even listen to the audio. Another objective for the new year is to reactivate or restart my Facebook account for the channel. It would have a focus on topical curation and source original content for it from sites such as Reddit. So what does this mean? Well, at the moment, the Facebook page that I have for the channel is pretty much automated. It just posts a whole bunch of stuff that I post on Twitter to it. The problem with this is it's not very organic. It doesn't inspire people people to follow it because it's obviously one step removed from the actual source. Why would anybody want to follow a channel if they can't actually interact through that channel with whoever is posting on it? Obviously, with me, you'd have to go to Twitter to do it, and that's not something that I want to continue. Now, you might be asking, well, why not just disconnect the Twitter account from the Facebook and start doing what you wanted to do with it? Well, there are a couple of things. This Facebook account is pretty old. I originally started it along with my very first fan site for Stronghold Kingdoms, and it has sort of limped along ever since. I can no longer change the name of it, and I already used up the ability. No, I already merged it with another page, which broke things. And one of the things that broke is the automated Twitter integration. So in other words, I cannot actually unlink it from Twitter. So if I wanted to continue using it, I'd have to delete every single tweet that I make from the timeline just after I tweeted it, which is actually more than I'm willing to invest, more time than I'm willing to invest in such nonsense. I have contacted Twitter to see if they could actually remove it. They've never responded, so no big surprise there. I mean, I'm not in any way important, so it's not surprising that they would pay attention, that they wouldn't pay any attention to any problems I was having. It's simply a bug in their API somewhere, and unfortunately, I can't get rid of it. So you might be wondering, well, why not restart the Twitter then instead? In my experience, the Twitter is more difficult to get up and going again. Everybody pretty much has Facebook, but not many people actually have Twitter outside of the professional, in quotes, world. I personally prefer Twitter because it is a very concise platform where you can just type out a sentence and you don't have to put much thought into it. But a lot of people like Facebook, so why not go with it? In regards to sourcing content, this would be content related to the games that I play. A lot of people post images and stuff to sites like Reddit, and it can actually be a little bit overwhelming to keep track of all that yourself. So if you're interested in the games I play, you might actually be interested in seeing some images and screenshots and just general tomfoolery from other people who also play those games and have a more dedicated interest in them than your average player. Obviously, a lot of the Reddit communities are much more hardcore, so hopefully any content that is sourced from there is actually informative or entertaining or original. I know I'm not original for reposting it, but it helps keep people engaged, and I think that is a little bit more important. Obviously, I just don't want to spam Facebook with just updates of my videos. I think that's a little bit tasteless. It really doesn't inspire a conversation outside of YouTube for that video because you just follow the link and you comment under the video, not on Facebook. Okay. Another objective is to revamp my Instagram. In the past year, I did start an Instagram, and I've very rarely updated it. I like to update it with more screenshots of my setup and stuff that I'm doing with it. For example, like if I get a new graphics card, I need to get a new audio interface, new microphone, any sort of change like that, I think it'd be cool to post the update there so you have an idea of what I'm actually working with, my setup, so to speak, in real life. I know Instagram is generally more selfie spam than that, but I think that is really not my personality, so we're going with something that I actually care about, which is documenting the evolution of my rig over the years, so that's cool. Another thing here is I'm abandoning Blogger. For a while there, I'd say about 6 months, I was actually posting pretty much every video on blogs. Overall, the engagement rate was pretty terrible for the amount of time that I had to invest in doing it, and I really couldn't automate it to my satisfaction. I tried some automation tools, but in the end, it would just dump a whole bunch of text into the description in a big blob and not actually embed the video. So, I mean, what was the point? It was an interesting adventure, but I think it dragged on for far too long, and it became something that I just dreaded doing every day. Every time I'd publish a video, I'd also have to go with, publish it on Blogger, publish it on Facebook, publish it on my website, etc., etc. And it all started to add up. Like I even started 2 different bloggers. One was game-based and the other one was just channel-based. So in other words, if I posted something for Civilization 5, it would be in Civilization 6, it would be in the Civilization 6 blog, and then I'd also post that same exact video to my RazingHel blog. As you might imagine, this gets pretty old pretty quick if you can't automate it, and like I said, I couldn't figure out a way to actually automate it to my satisfaction, so we're just dropping that altogether. I doubt anybody who actually watched my stuff knew about it anyway, so it's no real big deal. It's no big loss. You got to prioritize what what is working and be willing to throw to the wayside that which isn't. I would also, in the new year, like to do more Steam guides and game recommendations. So maybe the time that I got back from not doing any or posting anything to Blogger anymore could be instead allocated towards these games, actually making guides on Steam that could be aided with the videos that I produce for those games, but it would focus a lot more on actual writing. There was a general dislike towards guides, quote unquote guides on Steam that are simply video spam. So I would want to avoid that because I don't want that stigma associated with myself. And then in terms of game recommendations, since I generally try to cover via first impressions, one game per week, obviously that's not happening this week, but I have in the past had a pretty solid track record of doing one new game per week. I would also like to add it to my recommendations since Steam has expanded its recommendations to include not just recommending it, but just being an informative opinion on the game. I think this is a great opportunity to continue expanding out there and maybe get a little bit more recognition for those first impressions videos, because overall, I don't think they attract all that many people, even though I enjoy them because it gives me an opportunity to look at new games without actually committing myself to playing through the game all the way. I'd also like to, in 2017, revamp my website to auto post and basically auto categorize my video library. At the moment, I think when it comes to managing a backlog, YouTube is just absolutely terrible. The more videos you have on it, the harder it is for people to find stuff they want. Obviously, there is a little search bar on every channel on the desktop version, but how many people actually know what that is or use it? So it is very difficult for me to feature like work I've done in the past that I'm proud of, that I've put a lot of effort into, except on the actual front page, and the space there is limited. So the idea behind the website is it would give me the ability to feature a lot of playthroughs, for example, that I've completed, a lot of the walkthroughs that I've done, feature them in their entirety besides just another spammed playlist, and make them searchable. So in other words, you could see a tag cloud, for example, and you could see, okay, well, these are videos that I've posted with the tutorial tag. It allows you to filter out all the non-tutorial content, or this is a video that I've posted with the walkthrough tag, and it allows you to sort out all non-walkthrough content. And then you can also refine it by the actual game itself via tag cloud. Unfortunately, the current system that I had set up, and number one, the design of the website is pretty outdated. It is not optimized for mobile devices, which in this day and age is simply unacceptable. It is just a free WordPress theme, so it's pretty understandable that you don't get, you get what you pay for. That's the point. And it's not very good. So rather than continuing to invest in sort of a failed theme, I think it would be better to just not post anything on there until I actually get a theme that is really tailored to the needs that I have for it. And it should also be noted that I would prefer to have the posts automatically done rather than having to do it manually myself. I have seen the ability to automate this stuff using CURL or whatever the hell, and there's just really no reason for me to invest time in something that can relatively easily be automated in the long run. So I'd like to invest a little bit more time in learning how to automate it and then set that up rather than investing time in posting this stuff to it manually when very, very few people ever even see it to begin with. So I've not given up on the website. It's simply I am really the only one involved in this. I am shifting objectives for it and not updating it until I am actually ready to update it. One final change that you may or may not have noticed, I've already tried to start implementing this in my design theme, is a cleaner thumbnail look. Now in the past, I have attempted to pack as much information into video thumbnails as possible, but based on what I've seen from other channels on YouTube, this is actually not all that trending anymore. And more channels, especially ones that have well-researched, well-funded teams behind them, are moving towards a cleaner look with more engaging visual content on it. So in other words, instead of screaming a whole bunch of text or just plastering a whole bunch of text all over it, you have more unique visual cues on it, such as engagement with outrageous expressions, stuff like that. Some people might consider this clickbait, and to an extent it is, but it is the current climate that you find yourself in as a creator. And if you do not keep up with the times and you fall behind, you cannot allow yourself to stagnate for reasons that are by and large ideological, I guess you could say. Like, if you want to make the case that clickbait is terrible and you shouldn't do it, well, I would make the counter that isn't it better to counter bad clickbait with quality clickbait? So in other words, make clickbait but actually deliver a quality product on the other end that makes people not regret clicking on it. I don't know. We will see how it goes. One channel that I've especially modeled this after is Linus Tech Tips. Obviously, he has an entire team behind creating his videos, so if he doesn't know what to do and what is going on with YouTube at the moment, I don't really know what or who would. So I would hope that getting a cleaner look for the thumbnails but making them more engaging visually is the way to go forward here in 2017, and save all that descriptive stuff for the title where it really belongs in the first place. Obviously, there will still be text on the thumbnails, but I'm trying to cut down on the amount of meta text, I guess you could say. So in other words, if I play a game, I'm not going to put the chapter title on that video, or I'm not going to actually tell you what the tutorial is for. It's just going to be a tutorial. I'm going to try to demonstrate what it's about visually, and then the actual description for the tutorial will be in the description where it really should be to begin with. I mean, in a way, this is the best way to do it, because there's really no point in being overly redundant, listing the name of the video in the thumbnail as well as the description. I think it makes the site look spammy to begin with. So in a way, I am all in favor of this. There are some downsides to it. There's some ways where it could be exploited by some people, but overall, I think it is a move towards better quality content, or better quality presentation of content, which is really ultimately more important, because if people don't like the way you present it, like they say don't judge a book by its cover, but people are going to judge. And if your book cover is crap, nobody's going to ever have the opportunity to rate the actual content, the actual contents of that book. They're going to go unread because your book cover was uninspired. So looking forward to making more inspired book covers. There's a mission statement to get behind for 2017. Anyway, that pretty much went on for long enough in my opinion. Those are my objectives for 2017 for the channel. In terms of actual content, it is going to continue on pretty much as it has. We might cycle more games in and out depending upon what new releases come up. But aside from that, that's pretty much all of it for now. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any additional questions about where we're going in the future, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I hope to see you next time.